How y'all doing today? Okay, we about ready to get started. All the candidates, y'all can come to the podium.
Shake hands.
Everybody make sure y'all get something to drink. Everybody got something to drink? Y'all get something to drink anytime, so we don't just have to sit in one spot. So we want to get something to drink. We finna get ready to get started. I just welcome y'all to RCTT. We started RCTT because the Republicans and Democrats had so much problems, so we decided that if I can get along with Democrats and Republicans, everybody else can. So we just decided to come together, and that way, that's what we'll get everybody's opinion. We could disagree to agree. Whether or not you like the candidate somebody else or not. We still must learn to let people choose whoever they want to choose. But when we get mad with people because they choose who they want to choose, then we're not letting people have their human rights. And the human rights for the United States is that this is one of our laws and our rules that we can have freedom of speech. And if I want freedom of speech, if I want to vote for a Republican, that's my business. And if you want to vote for a Democrat being a Republican, that's your choice. But when people tell you you can't vote for the right person unless you go straight down that party line, that's the reason why the country bad, because we've been picking too many of the same kind of people, and ain't nobody got nothing else to think. So that's what Rockdale think tank is, for us to think. We come together to think on different subjects. You may think one thing, I may think another thing, and somebody else may think something else. So we all come together to start thinking and stop fussing and fighting, and Democrat, Republicans say, all right, if Jeff Wiggins the best man, vote for him. If Levin the best man, vote for him. You know, we got to learn how to start voting for the best people, whichever part it is. Because you can have a sorry somebody don't know nothing about nothing, and because he's a Democrat, I got to vote for him because he's a Democrat and don't kill 7 people, and y'all want me to vote for him? Because he don't went to jail and now he's clean? No, it don't work like that. So, we're going to start. Josie, you rock. Pretty Miss Sherry Washington. You come on, Sherry. I met Sherry. Sherry is a nice, beautiful spirit people. When I was in the Democratic Party, when they was kicking my butt, she stayed on the other side like, no, y'all won't. So you have to understand, you have to deal with people on their spirit and their character. Not on nothing else. Build on character. So she's finna do the pledge. What my children are going to have pledge? Come on, y'all. Where's the flag?
Before I even get started, you know, as a criminal defense attorney, I'm often on the other side of what happens when you don't train children in the way that they should go. And this is beautiful to me because you have somebody giving them leadership skills. You saw how good they were and receptive and warm, and they all did their job. So this is very, very good, and I'm so proud to see this. They've asked me to pray, and as I was putting my prayer together, I kept saying, Your Honor. So if I say that, doing this prayer, please forgive me. But let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this beautiful day and this beautiful opportunity to come before you and to present our candidates for numerous judge positions in the clerk of court. Thank you for giving each one of these candidates the spirit and the opportunity to recognize that you have called them to serve, and whether or not they win or lose, this journey is your journey and is something that you put in their path, as part of their journey through this life. Also, Father, while we're here today, and as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, let us be mindful of the phrase that says, "One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Because when we get there, let us be mindful that as we may sit here and be divided by political party, at the end of the day, each one of us is here because we love this country, we love this state, we love this community, and we love you and we want to serve you. It is in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The introduction of the candidates. I love judges, but I don't do nothing going to school. I don't want nowhere to go near them. So I tell Mr. Ford I want to be told right now, that's something else. But today, Rockdale think tank, I don't like people write down stuff because my spelling is bad. And I don't like people write down stuff because people go through what they want to pick out and what they want to choose. And Rockdale think tank, we don't let nobody pick out nothing. I want you to stand up and I want you to say it the way you say it, because sometimes when people read it, they read it different. If somebody said they might spell it wrong or read it wrong, so that way if you stand up, you can voice your own opinion. This is the only time you may get next to them in a long time. To ask questions, no holds barred. I ain't got no time about what to ask him, what not to ask him, or nothing like that. I don't leave that meeting. Because you got to know who these candidates is, and you ain't just learning about 2 minutes they talk. But sometimes you know people's character just being around. You know, it don't take but 10 minutes and know half of these people, their personality. Like them children, it just take a minute to see what can be done. So we're gonna have the clerk of course. Y'all can stand up and introduce yourself and let them ask y'all whatever questions that they want, and then y'all wanna ask each other questions. And I wanna, from RCT, I wanna know what made you decide to run for this position? What was she doing that you figured you could do better for the citizens?
Now?
Yeah.
No introduction?
Yeah, introduction, but I'm saying.
Who are you? My name is Holly Dewey. I'm a candidate for clerk of court. Unlike my opponent, I have been a part of this judicial circuit for 20 years, just the span of my career. I wanted to be able to come here today. I wanted to be able to, and throughout this campaign, focus more about my qualifications, who I am, what I've accomplished. But unfortunately, and reluctantly, because of some of the things that have come out, some of the things that Ms. Wilson has done in the office, that unfortunately has to be one of the focuses. The reason, to answer your question, and everybody else will get into that, the reason that I decided to run for this office, I have such respect for this system. This is a judicial system. We learn in elementary school about ecosystems and how there's so many different parts and components that go to make a complete system. That's the same thing with the judicial system. It's not just the clerk's office. There are many other components that go in to make this system as one. The problem is right now, there's a breakdown because you have somebody in office that is wanting to take that and take control of it and not include other offices, not include the judges, make it her own. So there's a breakdown. I have people that stop me on a daily basis and tell me, I'm so glad you have my support. There needs to be a change. We don't like what's going on. This is not only the legal community. This is people that go into that office, the people that use that office. One of the is what I use to sign my qualifying papers with. It's a pen that I got from the Supreme Court. I love this system. This is what I know I'm supposed to do. I know this is one of my purposes. Been a Sunday school teacher for years. My husband and I, we volunteer with First Baptist, we volunteer with One Heart Ministries, working with youth, working with teens, to make this place better. We love this community. We want to be a part of this community. I love the judicial system. I can stand up here and get very technical with y'all. 20 years of experience, I can do that. There are many things that I've done when I was legal affairs director at the county. Many things that I accomplished in the county attorney's office, and now being in private practice with Terry Massey. I was the legal affairs director. Ms. Wilson was director of marketing. So there's marketing and then there's legal. When you have the clerk of court, that's such a technical, specific position. There needs to be support. There needs to be support for the judges. They don't have that right now. The leadership is not. So that's why I'm running. That's why. Okay, thank you.
All right. RCT is what makes you think that she's not qualified to take your job?
Can I introduce myself? I am Ms. Wilson. I am the clerk of Superior State Court for the Rockdale Division Circuit. It has been my honor to serve in that position since 2009. I came to the office with an MBA in finance, an information technology background, and a record of accomplishment and technology leadership. I have managed large budgets, large organizations, and have a track record of producing very effective software solutions. When I ran in 2008 and was elected by the people of Rockdale County, I had those very same qualifications. In addition to that, now I have 3.5 years experience successfully running the clerk's office. Successful not just in my own estimation, but based on feedback from the hundreds of customers that visit the clerk's office every day. And on the assessment of the grand jury during its normal review of the clerk's office, they gave us commendations. Contrary to what you've been told, there have been advancements in the clerk's office under my leadership. We have modernized the clerk's office. When I took office, we had a paper and pencil accounting operation. Shortly after that, we moved to computers and spreadsheets. Now we have integrated financial management software. That means that the clerk's office is accountable, transparent, and contributes to the county receiving recognition as a financially transparent organization. The money is well handled. We have $1 million budget, $5 to $8 million of flow-through revenue, which funds county government, the school system, and the city of Congress. This is a very important position. One that should not be handed over to someone who has no experience handling large budgets, large organizations, or managing technology. The clerk's office is more than filing papers, as some would have you believe. There is a large component of human resources management, financial management, and technology management. Not only have we modernized the financial operations, we cleaned up audit findings that have been lingering for years. Our last audit was 100% clean. The prior findings in the audits of the office were completely addressed and eliminated. We have made the clerk's office accessible to the public 24/7, 365 because we have a presence on the web. That website did not exist before I took office. Now that we have that website, it's possible for a person to go online and find out whether or not their jury service is actually needed. Saving a trip, saving a phone call, saving messages back and forth, making us accessible when we're needed, not just when the courthouse is open. In addition to that, We've implemented online payment of traffic citations. Why is that important to the average working person? It means you don't have to take a day off work to come and pay that traffic citation that you unfortunately got. It means you can be sitting at home on your bed in your pajamas with the box next to you and take care of that obligation. Soon we'll be introducing other services that will make the courts easier to work with and more accessible to the public. One of the things that we're working on right now is a service that will notify you if someone has filed a quitclaim deed on your property. Mortgage fraud protection. We'll also be introducing a service that will allow attorneys to remotely access information about the cases that they're handling. Again, making the clerk's office and the courts more easily accessible. I'm proud to announce also that we have implemented the Family Law Information Center. This is a volunteer group of attorneys who provide free 30-minute consultations to people who can't afford an attorney. Why is that important? People who come to court representing themselves, and they have a right to do so, often are ill-prepared, unschooled in the law, and totally confused. They tend to bog down the system because they don't know how to file the paperwork, and so it makes our courts less effective. By educating the public, and by the way, this was under the direction with the approval of Chief Superior Court Judge Sidney Nation. He likes it because it educates the public and keeps them from clogging up the system. It is an important service at a time when the economy is struggling so, because not everybody who needs access to the courts can afford an attorney. So I'd encourage you to let your friends and neighbors know about that.
Thank you.
You want me to address why she's not qualified? Or you want me to sit down? Okay. The clerk's office is not a legal position. Let me say this. The law says the clerk of Superior Court is not permitted, is prohibited by law from rendering a legal opinion or giving legal advice. My daughter graduated at Howard University Law School. I have a number of friends who are attorneys, judges, DAs, and solicitors. All of them will tell you that nothing in law school prepares you to be clerk of courts, because they don't train you on managing human resources or budgets or technology. As a matter of fact, the largest and most successful law firms will hire specialists to handle those functions because lawyers don't have that training. So even if my opponent were an attorney who had passed the bar and were licensed to practice law in the state of Georgia, she would not be prepared to handle these responsibilities in the clerk's office. Thank you.
Yeah, let her rebut.
We got questions from the audience.
The thing that's interesting about that is, I think she wants y'all to believe that I'm inexperienced. I don't know if that's because she thinks I'm so much younger, or I'm really not understanding what that is. But the thing that's interesting to me, when I was serving as chief of staff, that's a pretty big position, do you think? A lot of management? When I was serving in that position, the Board of Commissioners was having an issue with trying to find millions of dollars to close in the gap in the budget. I was having to meet with commissioners. Commissioner Van Ness, you remember this. I was having to meet with them. You have a problem. Here's your budget. Here's the gap. Go into the department heads. Go into elected officials. You got to cut your budgets. You got to cut your budgets. I then had to go through a list. There were people that we were going to have to go to and say, your position has been eliminated. They had to do layoffs. During this time period, my opponent wrote herself checks for $45,000. How many jobs could that have saved? While I'm working 12 and 14-hour days, I'm there from 9 o'clock at night, back there at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing what I can for this community, for the people, for the employees, the commissioners, for you, the taxpayers. That's a complete contrast right there. I went to the Board of Commissioners several years ago. Code enforcement's broken. It's not working. I'm receiving all the complaints. If you will let me have it, I will fix it. Guess what I did? There was a 90% increase that first year. 90% increase in enforcement. You want proven results? Like I said at the beginning, I am more than happy to stand up here and talk to you about my qualifications, what I've done, my experience. I understand government. Having a degree in marketing does not help you understand local government. It's not a business. I know people all the time want to say, you should run government like a business. You cannot do that. You shouldn't do that. Because you know why? This is your money. Your money. This is not a corporation where you can give yourself a $125,000 bonus. It's not right.
Amen.
It's your money. And you should have somebody in office that understands that and respects it. You want to know why I'm qualified? That's why I'm qualified. You can go back and check the records. I'm more than happy. There are documents in the vault that I've prepared that are permanent records. I know it's not just a record maintaining position, no. So you have to understand the system that you're overseeing. You have to have a comprehension of the judicial system and the people that you're working with. It's necessary.
Now, this is what we call a debate.
Excuse me, I need to correct misinformation,
They are in debate.
distortions, and distractions do not serve the public. First of all, I don't have a degree in marketing. I have an MBA, a Master's of Business Administration with a concentration in finance. I was Director of Marketing with AT&T Bell South, which is a Fortune 500 company, producing high-margin, software-based telecommunications products, both of which earned more than $25 million for AT&T. Okay? I know how to manage large organizations, large budgets, and technology. I'm happy to talk about specifics with regard to my education and my experience. Now, if you want to talk about all the soft stuff, I can give you that too. I've been elected or appointed to leadership positions in Jack and Jill of America, which is a national nonprofit that focuses on families and children. I am a member of the Rotary Club of Conyers, an active member. I'm a 2012 graduate of Leadership Rockdale. There are a number of people in this room who know, even though you're hesitant to say so, that I am an active, involved, contributing member of this community. What I have done is improved the Clerk of Court's office. And let me say this. I won a $50,000 process improvement grant with the cooperation and involvement of the sheriff, the DA, both Superior Court judges, the state court judge, the Honorable Lillis Brown, because they could see the value in cooperation and communication. As a result of that grant, we improved our criminal justice system. We eliminated a lot of duplicative paper processes by simply using the infrastructure that Judge Brown and my predecessor, the Honorable Joanne Caldwell, had the foresight to buy. We simply stepped it up and made it use all of its capabilities. It took technology leadership, it took courage, it took the ability to risk, to communicate, to create a team that hasn't been used to talking to each other and cooperating with each other, and yet we did that. So to say that we don't have communication and cooperation within the judicial system is just false. The proof is in the pudding. I have results and a track record. I'll stand on my record.
And see, most of y'all in Rockdale County have never been on a debate. Y'all been just folks talking. That's what you call a debate. A debate is when you get beat up against y'all man up, get off y'all bus and help them win. She go don't get then, you next, then you. Okay.
Is there any, what do you all think, how does each one of you feel about e-filing, electronic filing for attorneys only? And if so, do you have any plans to implement the e-filing system?
I'll let my opponent speak first.
I'm sorry, e-filing, if you don't know, that means that.
I have logged in as I do that now. I currently do
What was
that.
the question?
It's about e-filing, electronic filing. Right now, when you have a pleading and you're going to file suit or someone's filed suit, that document it's required to be filed with the clerk's office. There are a couple surrounding, the larger counties have that. I'm not sure at this point. I think that to me, because of the cost and just where we are financially, what I would recommend is you get together with the attorneys, with the people that would use that system, and find out what the cost is before you implement. That would be a huge project. Would it be beneficial? Yes, absolutely. But where we are today, right now, is it necessary? I don't think so. I mean, I think it's like when I teach my children, when we do budgeting, is it a want or is it a need? And I think that's where we are. But you can electronically file the documents that are necessary in the courts. Like we had a case in DeKalb State Court in Fulton County also. You just go onto the website, you attach it as a PDF, and it gives you a file stamp, and then you can go on, and it's very technical, computerized filing system. It would keep the attorneys from coming there and having to file. But also, like the majority of what I do, if I don't e-file, I just mail it, postage. So it's not that you have to physically actually go to the clerk's office also. But it could be beneficial, absolutely. But I don't think it's a decision that either my opponent or myself need to make alone. I think that would be irresponsible. I think that's something that the community, the people that use this system, need to get together and see. Because if y'all all came to me and said, hey, you know what, here's what we need. But guess what I would do? I would do whatever I could to help you, work with you, and accomplish it. That's all it's going to take, just working together.
Okay, I can address that. E-filing, usually you're talking about judicial records, civil and criminal state superior court filings with the court. In the real estate world, it's called e-recording. The work on developing the industry standards for the land record side are ahead of the work on the judicial side. So we're much closer to being ready to e-record land records than we are to do the judicial side. The system that we have just upgraded to in our land records division is state-of-the-art. It's ready for e-recording. That's one of the things that I'll be implementing in my second term with the cooperation of the real estate bar. What my opponent doesn't realize is that there are clerks all over the state of Michigan working together to develop this infrastructure in response to an already established and documented need by the real estate bar to do just this kind of thing. It's important not only from a user perspective, and not only from the court's perspective, but from the taxpayer's perspective, because it makes us more efficient. It means that we can stay in our existing historic courthouse a little longer, because we won't have to add as many people, we won't have to save as much paper, and so it is in the public interest that we pursue e-recording and e-filing. Now, on the judicial side, the vendor that we have, the one that you've heard me bragging about, is working on a civil e-filing capability. We have a state-of-the-art case management system. It's elegant. It's not simple. And so to make these kinds of changes takes a bit more work, perhaps, than some other counties. But once we get it, it'll be top-notch. And I expect that Judge Brown and I will be working on that sometime in 2013.
Yeah, we're gonna give y'all, how about 3 minutes? 3 minutes for their rebuttal, but how many minutes y'all want for y'all? It won't take long. Because we don't stipulate a lot of time. Yeah, it was her, she raised her hand and then her and then. Right. But what it is, we don't have no nobody for them. So we're gonna have enough time because we get out at 4 o'clock. So that's why I'm saying, just say what you gotta say. If you're mad enough,
Okay, well, I'm gonna say what I got to say because I'm mad enough. I'll ask my question. You talk about debate. I don't have a problem with debate. It's an exchange of ideas around the facts. But when we start getting personal, then that leads to what you said we don't need to have is people not speaking to each other after the election and everything is over. So I like to keep it above the fray. There's enough issues, things in this community that need to be handled without us getting personal, and talk about who's not. Leave that up to the voters as well. We'll make a decision. Let's just talk about the facts. So therefore, my question is for both: is what are some short-term goals for the office and long-term plans?
Okay, short-term goals. Short-term goal is to go ahead and implement the capability of mortgage fraud protection. I'm sorry, was that a problem? No. Okay. Mortgage fraud protection and attorney secure access, providing them the capability to remotely look at cases on which they are the attorney of record. That's what I'll do before the end of this year, God willing. Long term, we will develop additional online capabilities that will make us more efficient and make the courts accessible to the public and expand our family law information center to include real estate information as well.
The short-term goal for me is to restore order in the clerk's office, to restore order, and restore communication. I know that y'all keep hearing that there's not a problem there, but there is. You can just go to the courthouse and you can ask anybody that's there, anybody that uses the system. The thing that we need to remember is that we're going to have a new Chief Superior Court Judge and we're going to have a new Superior Court Judge coming in. So I understand what you're trying to ask about long and short-term goals, but really how I see the clerk's office is, yeah, there are certain things that can be done. But that office is a support office. It's a support system for the judicial system. So I don't think it's very appropriate for me to stand up here and say, here's what I would do, here's what I plan to do. Okay. Because I've already heard of the goals that the Chief Superior Court Judge and the new Superior Court Judge Robbie Mumford have, what they're wanting to do with office. So honestly, 2013, that's what the goal of the clerk was to be, to help that Superior Court Judge accomplish those goals. It has to do with maybe the domestic court, things of that nature. Okay, what is it in our office? How is it going to impact us? Because what I learned from being the Director of Legal Affairs in Rockdale County for 10 years, there were a lot of decisions that planning and development would make. And they would think about, well, it's going to have an impact on this department over here or this department over here. Okay? So there are things about some of the improvements that she made, absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and tell you she's not done things that are great. But there are a lot of things, too, that's very misleading. The e-filing, not the traffic tickets online. That was something that was already starting to take place before she even took office. It was something that Judge Bills and I had already talked about before the election. If you go back to 2008, you'll see that was my platform. That was something we'd already thought about doing. There are things with the Sheriff's Office, Odyssey, Tyler Technologies, this award-winning system that she's talking about. I'm very familiar with that. I negotiated the contract. I worked with Joanne Caldwell. I helped implement that system. I'm very familiar with it because I've been around. I've been part of this community. I've been part of this organization. I know everything that's part of it, all the counterparts, the system that it takes.
I just wanted to follow up. You mentioned a communication problem, and that seems to be this underlying. So, what are you talking about?
Specific.
Okay. I know that she's been removed from every judge's chambers.
She's what?
Been removed from the judge's chambers. What does that mean?
What is it?
Asked to leave.
And,
Wait,
okay.
give me a date, give me a time, who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
Let's talk the issue.
That is an issue. To users of the system, here's the problem. Okay, let me give you this example. When I talk to other attorneys, when I talk to other paralegals, other assistants, do you know that they tell me, I'm so glad you're running. We don't even like going there anymore. We don't like using that office. I'm not being personal. This is fact. It's not personal. It's broken.
Hold up, wait a minute. I don't know about y'all, but I am very sorry. Because y'all acted just like y'all say the Democrats used to act against the black people. So if that's what y'all supposed to do, what y'all doing, like y'all was saying they do the whole thing, Ruth she got some help. Ain't nobody's had no help. I'm talking about some people that got, some people that's on her side. That's what I'm talking about.
So what's your point?
My point is, just like they was always saying, whenever the Republicans say something, they would just hold like y'all doing, and they call it disrespectful. Now y'all are doing it, so they're calling it disrespectful, but it's not. It's just that's what y'all opinion on.
May I
It's
ask?
her, and it's
Okay.
Well, let her clear up her statement about being kicked out of the judge's office.
Yeah, that's inflammatory.
Thank you.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Okay, that's enough.
Hold up. When she was explaining it, everybody else started talking. So she couldn't explain herself.
Okay.
And just like y'all was saying, you get mad enough and you go to the polls and you help you get her out there and get double in there. But this is not, these two. So she's finna tell y'all the reason why. She was telling y'all the reason why when everybody started.
I think she had ample time to do that.
I think that if you want to
wanna hear
her
her.
to clear it up, you
Yeah.
have to be quiet and be respectful and let her say her piece, and then we're gonna move on.
And it's up for her if it's not a door for her.
But then also, the group gets a chance to rebut it,
Yes.
and everybody on the other side is gonna be respectful, and then we're gonna, really move on.
Okay.
So let her go ahead.
The things that I stand before you is not made up, okay? These are things that people have come to me and told me. Am I going to stand here today and tell you who told me that? No, because they asked me not to. But I'm not going to stand here. What I tell you is there's something that we do before you give sworn testimony. The testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I answer to a higher power as a Christian. So I'm not going to stand here before you. That's not who I am. What I'm telling you is because there are real issues within this system. The people have come out and they have spoken and asked you. They have come to you through me and said, we need a change. It is broken. I will tell you that Joanne Caldwell and honorable people built that office. It is an award-winning office. It's broken. I want to fix it. That's what I'm here to tell you today.
You want to rebut?
I'm just going to say this, that, I'm not going to engage in hearsay and rumor mongering. There are people who have come to me and said things about my opponent as well. I'm not going to stand up here and spread that around. I don't believe that this election should be about rumors and distortions and distractions. I think this election should be about accountability, accomplishment, and capability. And if that is what this election is about, then the county is going to be just fine.
It's her, and then,
I think this one had his hand up.
yeah, but she had her hand up then, Diane.
So my question is for Steve. So you've talked about your experience, but what kind of educational background do you have that qualifies you for the position for clerk of courts?
Certified paralegal for 20 years. I was with the county attorney's office for 7 years. I was leaving the county attorney's office, and the chairman of the board of commissioners at that time called me and said, we're creating a position for you. We want you to come in and create a position. It's called the Department of Legal Affairs. I was over that department for 10 years. When I left Rockdale County, I was serving not only as legal affairs, but also as chief of staff. Okay, did that for 10 years. So, I was over community service, I was over code enforcement, I was over animal control. Any resolutions before the Board of Commissioners adopted any resolution, I had to review and draft it. Any contract that was presented, I worked with the county attorney's office, either drafting it or working with him. Any ordinances, the smoking ordinance, I worked with the city attorney's office to draft that. I worked with the legislature downtown because they were in the process of also adopting the state law, and I made them aware, made our legislators aware of, okay, you know what, hey, we're also adopting an ordinance, so if you put this in the state law, it's going to invalidate a portion of our ordinance. So I worked with them on that. These are some of the things I did. And like I said, it's more about, I'm a fixer. And I am someone who, I can see, hey, this is what's broken here. This is what needs to be fixed. Here's a better way for us to all work together and make this system work together as a whole. Because it is, like I said at the beginning, it's a system. And the offices are not communicating. I cannot stress that enough. Don't take it from me. I urge you, you go and ask people. Don't just take it from me, someone that's wanting this position. You take it from the people that have come to me. They will tell you.
Time.
Thank you.
They say we don't understand that.
I just have a real quick question. I'm also an attorney like Ms. Washington, and one of the things that I have seen in other counties that I would love to see in Rockdale County is the online judicial system that DeKalb County has, where not only attorneys but members of the public can go in and access and check the status of cases in Superior Court, State Court, Probate Court, Magistrate Court, see the linkage to the Sheriff's Department, civil and criminal. And when I speak with a client and they tell me I got an existing case somewhere that's in DeKalb County, I can go online and see what's happening, what's not happening. And it really helps me as an attorney advise the client and tell them what I can and can't do and see what's going on in the process. Has either of you given any thought to try to create or a system that would mimic that for Rockdale County?
But again, I'm going to go back to what I said previously. I'm not going to stand up here and promise things to you that I can't promise. I have no idea what the budget's going to be. I have no idea what the economy's going to do. If the money's there, if you can find funding and do it, absolutely. That is a wonderful system. I use it frequently. Frequently I use that.
The judge,
I want to just so that there's some clarity here on a couple of things. We have an integrated court system, court software management system in Rockdale County. And we've had it for quite a number of years. And we put a lot of time and effort over the years putting that integrated system together. There are no major decisions that are made with regard to the software integrated system unless the entire court team, which includes every court and every judge in Rockdale County, sitting down and coming to agreement. We already have what you want. But we have Superior Court judges who do not want to use that and have not agreed to that. And I'm hoping with the new Superior Court judges, we've been working very hard for the last 2 years to get it straightened out where we would be ready to release it. But we all agree it's all done, and so far we've not had 100% agreement. There are a number of things our court system can do, but no single court makes a decision when it comes to working with Odyssey. It's a group decision, and we work very diligently in doing that. And what everybody has to understand is there are all these magic buttons and these wonderful things out there you can do. But if you don't have a stable, basic, working court system, it is not going to be worth a flip to anybody. And we work very diligently to have that. We're in that place where we can grow with e-filing, we can grow with public viewing of the court system. I mean, we have a lot of things in place where we can start building. This next year, we will be adding different components to it. So I want to take off the table, there's no one person sitting in the court system in Rockdale County to make that decision. We make it through. And I think that may help with the automation in the court system for everybody in this room.
Well, I would like to weigh in. I've been a practicing attorney since 1990 here, and I'm also a part-time magistrate and city court judge, and I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
So you're not, Judge Hornier?
Well, it's a system that we use in the clerk's office as attorneys. Go in, we're able to look up things, and then press the print button, and then the clerk's office gives us the paperwork. It's just a matter of taking that on the web. But I would say that there are privacy issues, as you know, that may be factoring into why there's some reluctance to to extend it to more public access at this point. I don't know, I'm not having been part of those conversations, but I do know that once I become a part of those discussions with your support in the election this fall, then we'll wrestle with those things and certainly talk about them, because a lot of times it's about mediating a balance. So that we're serving the community, we're protecting constitutional and statutory rights of the citizens, and partnering together with those that use the system.
Yeah, but the court system is public record.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
That's still okay.
What was the question? Are you responding to his question?
Yeah.
There's the rudimentary part of what you're talking about is the secure attorney process that I was just telling you about. That is the beginning of that process. And so that's the first little tippy toe in the water, and we'll explain it.
He had his hand on something, didn't he?
No, she did.
I'm glad y'all paying
And
attention.
my question is, last night I went online and went to your personal Facebook page. It says you live in Atlanta. It does?
Oh, it says Atlanta. That's just.
No. It's, you know, 4 years ago I knew you were from Atlanta, but,
I never lived in the city.
okay, anyway, it says you're from Atlanta. So what we're talking about is, and I just want to go beyond that. It just seemed like, you know, for an IT person to have Atlanta, I didn't think social media, what am I going to say? My grandchildren buzz at me too. But if you're talking about upgrading to use e-file, and Holly has actually used it, that's what I heard you say. You use it, like,
I have login name, yes.
login name, and she's just using it. She knows she has experience with e-file. It seems to me that if you have experience with e-file, you'll be better able to communicate with attorneys who want e-file, rather than being on the bottom end of the learning curve to try to come up with an understanding of what e-file is, since you've never used it, it sounds like to me. That's the question, yeah.
Yes, did y'all get a question out there? You got speech, okay.
Okay. To me, that's, please, I mean no disrespect, but just as an analogy, that's like the difference between driving a car and building a car. Just because you can drive a car doesn't mean you can build a car. And what we're talking about is building the car. But there are a number of technical issues, and I'm not going to get out in the weeds about that because it's more than we want to get into right now. E-filing requires that the technical infrastructure be there, that the industry standards be in place, and then you got to have budget issues. Not to even get into the court's willingness to participate in that. So it's a multi-dimensional, multifaceted, multi-phase process to build an e-filing system. Now, a lot of that work, as I said, has already begun through the Clerk's Authority, which is a joint effort of clerks across the state of Georgia. We have the Georgia Superior Court Clerks Cooperative Authority, which is our technology arm, and we are working with them to develop the standards along with our vendor to make this kind of thing possible. This train is already moving. It's already in place in the federal bankruptcy courts. There are courts within the state of Georgia that are electronic only, that will not accept a piece of paper. So it's starting and it's moving down. We're going to get there someday. It's not really optional because with our historic courthouse, we have to work smarter. We have to use existing technology to keep our head count flat, and keep our budget flat. And if you look at the clerk's budget over the last 5-7 years, you will see reflect and trending down. And it's because we've used technology effectively to manage the growing demands on our office coming from the public and from the courts and from the legislature.
This fellow thanks right there. That guy right there.
So this one had his hand up a long time.
You got
Hold on, wait a minute. Who running this show? But no, he couldn't see him, but he had his hand up. It doesn't matter, ain't nobody fussing, but he had his hand up because of why he came in.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just yesterday, somebody told me that if everybody goes to the bank on Monday, you will get $1 million. I'm not going to tell you who that person is that told me that. I say that to say that facts are important to me. Okay, a political party recently stated that we're not going to let facts get in the way of our claims. That doesn't sit right with me and should not sit right with you. I would ask any candidate running, if you're going to make a claim that is inflammatory, that's fair game. Support it with a source where we can fact check it ourselves. We're all halfway intelligent enough to check our own sources. So if you make a claim, don't only make a claim to make points with a certain group of people, make a claim where both sides can check it. I would say that to everybody, nobody specifically, but to everybody. It's really disconcerting that you say something to get some checkpoints and a few amens in the group, but it's a lie. How are we going to run a campaign based on a lie? Now, if you want to go to the bank to get the $1 million on Monday, feel free. I'm not going to tell you who told me. You can do it. It has the same weight as saying, somebody told me that you got thrown out of court. Somebody told me that you, somebody told me that you stole $45. Okay, let's not make any claims without support, please. And this is not directed to anybody, it's directed to everybody.
Stole for bank?
That's true in some cases, but some cases, like when you're a newspaper person, sometimes you can't tell, reveal your sources. Hold on, wait a minute. That is not, that's for Ruth to go and deal with that, not today. But when she want to deal with that, that's what you got. That's what you got chambers for. If she got, she want to fly on a tour, she got to go do that paperwork, whatever they're doing, and do it. And my thing is, sometimes you get in trouble when you tell people what they, because I'm a name caller. If they say something to me, drop or whatever, I'm going to say your name. Because I don't want nobody get confused. Because if Josephine say something, they know I'm going to call your name, because I don't want nobody telling no lie on me. Or nobody being confused and thinking Mary Jane said it, and now you got to look at 1,000 people said it. No, Joseph said it, so that's why I ain't got no friends, y'all. But I don't it's 3:05, we got to dish your last, and then we're going into probate.
I know both candidates. The reason I say that is because I respect them both. I know them both. I work with Ms. Wilson's office 5 days a week. I'm a good sport. And I didn't vote for you last time, but I'm a good sport. When you took that oath, you were my clerk, and you were sort of my co-worker. You're not my supervisor, but you're my co-worker supervisor. We work together every day. So as a taxpayer, so I want to say that my question is meant to be about a fact, and I respect both of these individuals and the position they're running for. As a taxpayer, when it came time for me to decide who I was going to support, the issue that for me, that I think as a taxpayer, I am owed a straight answer, is why you gave yourself over $100,000. I'm a taxpayer. I don't make $100,000. I don't make $50,000. And I want to know why you thought it was right to give yourself over $100,000 on top of your salary.
Thank you. If you'll notice, the back of these blue t-shirts say Truth Squad. Is that like a knockoff of the Roo Squad? It's not exactly an original idea, is it? I am interested in the truth. I have offered the opportunity for anybody who wants to know the truth about the passport situation to come to my office and look at the official accounting records from 1992 to today and see for yourself what has been happening to the passport money for all of those years. My opponent has peppered my office with open records requests, but she's not interested in the truth about the passport money. No one from her campaign has been to my office to look at the truth about the passport records. I offer again today, anybody who wants to know the truth about the passport records, come check it out.
Maybe they don't tell the truth.
That could be. But anyway, the point is that I have followed the past practice of the office. I have complied with the law. I didn't give myself anything that was not legally mine to begin with. And let me correct another misstatement, mischaracterization of the facts. This issue that the passport money could have been used for salaries, etc., etc. I'm sorry, Commissioner Van Ness left because she would have to admit that what I'm saying is true. This is federal money. It is not local taxpayer money. That passport function is an optional service that the clerk offers as a convenience to the public by a stroke of the pen. We could shut off passport operations tomorrow. By the same token, the federal government could shut it off in an instant. It is not budgetable money. You can't predict who's going to come in and buy a passport, if they will come in and buy a passport. The truth about passport money is that this is the result of state law and federal legislation. The neighboring county clerk of Superior Court has been keeping 100% of the money for more than 20 years, and nobody has a thing to say about it. Why is that? Why is it in this an election year, all of a sudden it's a big deal? Because you didn't know the money was there. Guess what? When I was running for office, I didn't know it either. I had no idea. Not only that it existed, or that the amount of money was involved. But the point is this. When it did become an issue, I responded to it and have made provisions that a third of the money go to the county, a third go to courthouse operations, clerk of courts operations, and a third go to my well-deserving staff, the people that actually do the work. And I think that is wise, fair, and appropriate. More than that, we publish this information on our website. That's never been done before anywhere in the state of Georgia. Commissioner Van Ness said, with that action, I raised the bar in Rockdale County. I am absolutely proud of the way that I have handled this issue, and again, I stand on my record.
How is that passport issue handled throughout the state of Georgia?
It varies county by county. It varies county by county.
I need to correct something.
This is what they doing.
She just made a statement that she didn't even know about the passport money during the election. But in 2008, at a forum, the question was asked, what are your plans with the passport money? I have the DVD if you'd like a copy of it, you can see. Because again, today, I'm speaking from things that I have. I have a folder with me that has a copy of every single check that was written to herself. I'm not making this up. Almost $45,000 to herself, $125,000 over 3 years. When the question was asked in the fall of 2008, almost 4 years ago, plan to use the passport fees. She said, operating within the code, there are possibility to use the funds more creatively. More creatively. I will tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it 100% right back over to the county. There are other the clerks that do that. It will not come to me. It can offset the budget. No, you don't budget. You don't know how much you're going to bring in, but what you can do is minimize the amount of your budget by what amount comes in. When I used to do unsafe structure hearings, dilapidated homes that I would have to have a hearing on to have it to be demolished, follow in on that piece of property, I would have to budget an amount of money for if the county was going to have to go in and demolish that. But then what I would also do is go after the people that actually own the property and say, okay, you are the reason that the kids cost the county money, taxpayers, you owe it back. When they would pay it back, it would go and offset that amount. It's the same thing you can do.
So you said, let me hear this. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. We got Ms. Brown and a 10, they don't have anybody that's going against them. So basically what we're going to have them to do, they'll just have to talk about what they're going to do. So that's not going to take long for them. But these are the two opponents that we got here now, and this is what a good debate is supposed to be like. And they're just debating. Your word against mine, and it comes into a heated debate. That's what a debate's supposed to be. So go ahead. And if anybody else don't like it, get your organization. Which one is Eric? Eric Washington. That lady was who is Eric? Eric Washington.
I just have a yes or no question.
Okay. If the state legislature, your local delegation got together and agreed to repeal this tax court law, that your salary only comes with what state law says, would you then be charged to repeal this so that you can't pad your pocket with my hard-earned money?
First of all,
Yes, you don't have to go through local legislation.
it has to be statewide legislation.
No, ma'am. Every passport law you just said was set up by county, how it was distributed. That was the question that he asked.
There's only one state law.
Then I worked for the legislature 23 years worth. So if we got the pact together to repeal this, for all these counties that are using this money, will you lead the pact to repeal it? So that you cannot pad your pocket?
I will always abide by state law.
No, that's not the question. Will you lead the charge if we got together with the legislature to repeal?
Mr. Washington? You're out of order, Mr. Washington. These two have their hands up. No, Mr. Washington has Go ahead, Mr. Washington. It's out of order.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Washington, and my question is for Ms. Bowie. If I recall correctly, and you correct me if my memory is incorrect, at the Rockdale Civic Association, the forum in South Rockdale, you indicated that when this passport issue first came up, one of the first things you did was speak to Ms. Wilson's predecessor. That's incorrect?
Oh, wait, what did you finish the statement?
One of the first things you did was to speak to Ms. Wilson's predecessor.
Correct.
Okay. My question to you is, can you give a sense for us of how this passport issue was handled previously? How were the funds derived from that handled prior to Ms. Wilson? And tell us what, if anything, you disagree with as to it was previously handled.
She would come to the Board of Commissioners meetings and she would dedicate, she would present them with a check. She also, some of the money that may not show within the county financials, she would actually purchase, and she told me she purchased debts. Like there were some times where if they, if it wasn't for the passport money, they wouldn't have had debts, supplies or things like that.
Is there anything you disagree with?
I will tell you what I'm going to do, because I know we've discussed this before.
As to the previous administration?
What I plan to do is to turn 100% of it over to the county. That's my point.
That was.
She didn't answer. She directly.
Do I agree that what she should have done was purchase county supplies with it? Yes.
The question
I agree with
is,
that. Using it for
I
the
think-
benefit of the office.
I think you answered the first part of the question, and I derive from that none of the monies went to herself. Would that be fair?
I don't know, I've not looked at what she had.
I'm talking about the credit.
I know, but what I'm saying is, Ms. Wilson said she has all the records where it happened to all the money. What I can tell you is, when I was with the county, I know Ms. Caldwell came to the Board of Commissioners meetings. I remember her coming and presenting a check to the Board of Commissioners. And I know speaking with her, what she's told me is, purchase supplies. And she's also told me what she's done with it is giving scholarships through the Boys and Girls Club, doing things like that. Do I agree with that? Absolutely.
Thank you.
For the benefit of the office.
Thank you.
Do we have 2 questions? We got a question there.
I was just going to say, I was discussing, and I find that there's hidden things that nobody is aware of, that the people in this position, it's money, and they can make choices whenever they want to do it, go buy a dress or a car or take it to a meeting. I just think that discussion and all in the general public doesn't know about it. That's what's wrong with our politics. It's not already this or already that. It's just people, some bad people, making laws behind closed doors that we, the general public, we do not have any idea what's going on. I had no idea.
And see, that's,
You didn't know.
and see, that's what Ms. Wilson is saying. See, that's what we keep telling you. That's what we keep saying. When we vote them in there, we don't vote them in there to do the same thing. We vote them in to go in there and expose the problem. That's what you get new leadership for. This ain't just happened. This is just not happened. This not happened on her watch. This was years and years ago when Ruth thought about money. But when she got in there, she exposed them that was on the money. Then when they found they was getting all that money behind the table and they nobody know about, then it became a problem. Go ahead.
I think you do, whenever you want to say or question anybody's character or accountability, and give a good understanding. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in order to understand what you're trying to say, what they did, or how they did it, you need to understand the federal regulation first. So you got to get to understand the policy that goes with it. Because in a certain position, you're limited to certain policies and certain regulations of the fair that you cannot do and can do. So once you understand them two, then we can go on the fence and attack that individual. Because even if she gave the money to, Ms. Woman said, a good cause, what is the fight about? See, like you going off without a full loaded gun. And I don't know neither one of you ladies. So the thing here today is to get an understanding first. If she used the money for a good cause, then move on to another cause that she didn't do it for. But right now, we're attacking somebody that we don't even know the true cause. And I came in on the end, but I'm just in what it says, we attacking.
We got 2 questions on
Attacking
that.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, we got 2 more questions, then we go on.
You said that what happened wasn't necessarily discretionary on your part, because it's state and federal regulations or something regarding passport money. But then you said that you have changed the procedure now. So it is discretionary on your part. And so for these 3.5 years, you could have done this already as you were taking in passport money. So, are you not complying with state law, not following federal regulations, or have you just decided all of a sudden that you can do this, and this is going to be reversed later?
Well, if I'm reelected, my intention is to keep doing what I perceive, divide it into 3 parts, and let the vote float as it shall. I would continue to allocate 1/3 to the county, 1/3 to the clerk's office, and 1/3 in bonuses to the clerk's office staff. That would be my intention.
But it's discretionary on your part, how the money is spent.
I can decide not to take the money.
Okay,
Okay, just a point of clarification from Mr. Washington's question. How long was the previous clerk of courts in office? How many years?
24.
Okay. In 24 years, you stated that she forwarded checks to the Board of Commissioners by
I remember her
desk.
coming to the board of commissioners meetings.
Okay, so in the previous 23 years, where did that money go?
No, there
So
would
you
be different
said,
years
so
throughout.
you said she bought a few desks. Excuse me. You said,
We got the flow
you said you remember her coming to the Board of Commissioners and buying desks and supplies.
No, what I said was, I remember Ms. Caldwell coming to the board of commissioners meeting, and I don't mean that just at one time.
Okay.
There were multiple times, but if you're asking me today how many times she came there, I think you know this because you've looked through the documents, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, I mean, really, are you asking me a question that you already got the answer to?
No, I'm asking you a question to just get a sense of where the majority of the money with the previous administration went. Did it go to office supplies or did it go to her?
And I would have to ask you that because I've not reviewed those records. What I told you was, I remember Joanne coming to the board of commissioners meetings to present a check. She did that on multiple occasions.
Well, you've answered my question. I appreciate it. Ms. Wilson, since you're in that position, could you tell me if your predecessor spent the majority of the money on office supplies or did she spend it and put it in her pocket?
As was reported by the Rockdale News, after their examination of the accounting records, the majority of the money went to Ms. Caldwell personally. Absolutely, and if you don't believe me, come look at the accounting records yourself. All right? I can cite the official accounting records of the Clerk of Superior Court's office. And they're open to the public for inspection at any time. I've said this repeatedly. These go back to 1992. And there is no documentation, by the way, that any check was written from the passport account to the Board of Commissioners, nor can the County Finance Department document any payments from the passport account to the Finance Department or to Rockdale County. Let me tell you what was really going on. Ms. Caldwell, and I have tremendous respect for her, and my hesitance to open up this whole can of worms was out of respect for her and her privacy. I did not want to bring this up, and that's why I didn't stir the pot. What I did was just follow the past practice of the office. I used the money to support my staff and to support the office. I kept a portion of it for myself. Even the portion of the money that was written to me personally, I would then use it for things like recognizing staff birthdays and anniversaries, a Christmas dinner, a spring picnic, to support my staff. I can't do those things any longer because I don't have the funds available to do that. So my staff will suffer because of the arrangement. But it's fair, it's what I think has satisfied the public's concern here, and so I'm prepared to live with that. Here's the point. The truth is documented in black and white. If you want to come see it, I'm more than happy to share it with you. Make an appointment, we'll have you sit down, you can go through it page by page with a calculator. You can even take pictures of it if you want to. Open and transparent, come see. I'd love to have you come by.
Thank y'all. It's 10:25, and I want to thank those two ladies. And this is what this is called a debate. When a debate gets y'all mad enough to start raising saying out here in the audience, that means it's time for y'all to get out there and do some more work and get brew some more t-shirts and get out of some more people fighting for them. But I want to thank y'all for this. Like she said, you learn different stuff when you get in those offices. Just like Holly, she knows something. Now, once you get in those offices, then you see different stuff. Either you have a chance to correct it or either you get rid of it. Now come on, y'all. Ain't no fool in their right mind gonna give up on $100,000 somebody will give for 20. Come on now. Hold up. And the only way they can change it is they go back and change the law in order for them to do it. But until they change the law is where she validated. But until they come and they change that, and they tell y'all where to spend that money at, y'all gotta make a decision and tell her y'all want her to spend that $100 and give y'all some money too. That's what you're buying, guys. Hold up, we going to probate court. See, she know a lot of stuff, but she can't say a lot of stuff because she got to sit in that office. So she can't really tell y'all how she really feels about what's going on, because she might have to work with these people again. So she has to stand clear of a lot of stuff. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to stand up as entire city. I'm Lil's friend. I'm the current probate judge, and I served as a probate judge in Rockdale County since 1992, 2 years this year. It was quite my happenstance that I got into probate law. Prior to being the probate judge, worked in the DA's office for almost 6 years as the first investigator for Rockdale County. And then I went out and ran for Clerk of Superior Court, what these two ladies did do, and lost. And found myself without a job and ended up in Magistrate Court, and soon thereafter became not only the Clerk of Magistrate Court, but one of the part-time magistrate judges. Loved what I did, thought I'd stay in criminal law for the rest of my life. And went through some personal things, decided to get out of the court system altogether, went to Atlanta, went to work for a law firm, and ended up in probate court. And from the first day I was handed a petition for probate, and from the first client that I handled, I immediately fell in love with probate law. Did it for 4.5 years, was down here helping a friend probate my mom's estate, and I went down to file the discharge with Judge Chambers, and he says, I'm finally going to retire. I said, Judge Chambers, you've said that for the last 4 terms. Are you really going to retire? Because you ain't going to really retire. So I got in the car and drove back to Atlanta to work, called my husband on the phone, and said, I'm running for probate judge. And he goes, you know what you're doing? I said, yeah, come along, Juan. But it's hard, he's been coming along ever since. All right. But I love what I'm doing. What I do in probate court impacts people. It impacts their life. It impacts their families. It impacts children within the families. It sometimes is easier than others. And there's all sorts of components that go in with it. That's what makes it so very interesting. The law is what the law is, but every individual that walks into my office has something different, unique, that makes it specific to themselves. I have a staff of 5. I think I have the best staff at the courthouse. Ruth may want to argue with me, that's her prerogative. But I think I have a wonderful staff. They love what they're doing. They love serving the community. I tell folks all the time, my job is not to be difficult and make your job difficult. My job is to make our court efficient, to provide you the service you need, get you in and get you out with what you need to either probate an estate or take care of a minor child or handle your parents if you're doing an incapacitated adult, petition for appointment of incapacitated adult. My job is to assist you in getting what you need legally and to understand what you're doing legally to the point you understand the process. As a judge, I can't give you legal advice. I can't tell you how to do legal documents, but I can direct you in the right direction. I do go in the courtroom. A lot of people say, do you wear a robe, especially kids, and they'll go, do you really wear a robe? And I'll go, yeah, I wear a robe. So every now and then they like to come in and see me in the courtroom, but most probate proceedings are not open to the public. So you've got not just anybody come over and see what they're doing. In addition to doing those judicial responsibilities, we issue marriage license and firearms permits, and we issue them together. Don't ask me why that works. More times than not. I am also the state appointed registrar by the state vital records of the state of Georgia in my office, and we issue birth and death records. Now let me make it very clear, state vital records registrar, that is not a duty as the probate judge. I am appointed by the state, and I am entitled to take a fee for what I do. When I went into office, or just before I went into office, I was $3 a piece. And $3 a piece, that didn't add up to a whole lot in 1991. Well, just as I was fixing to take office in 1993, they went from $3 to $10. And at $10 a pop, that added up close to $120,000 a year. At the time I started as a probate judge, my salary was $68,000. And I didn't think it was right that I take that kind of money. So along with a large number of probate judges, we initiated legislation where we could go to the counties and enter into a contract with the counties if we were going to do another job and receive funds for. Then we could negotiate with the county on what we got paid for what we did. At that time, they entered the ceiling of $7,500. and I went to the Board of Commissioners, entered into a contract, and as State Vital Records Registrar, I was to receive $7,500, and I received that for almost 8 or 9 years. And I would literally do vital records on the weekend or at home. I did not do it in the office or in the probate judge. As we've grown, and as vital records are now $25 a pop when you come into my office, we still get my office gets $7,500, which I keep $2,500 making sure everything is operating, and the rest is divided among 2 of my staff members who take the lead in handling state vital records. So you will find in many of the offices in the county there are additional positions in which we may be designated either by federal office or state office. But in the probate, the judges decided that we were going to do that, and it's a great service, and I appreciate having it, especially when we're with death records and family history for me. It's easier for the public to be able to come to my office to do that. But we're now totally automated. If you were born anywhere in the state of Georgia, you may come to my office and get a birth certificate. We're hoping that after January 31st, if the state finishes the new software, you will be able to come and get any death certificate from anywhere in the state of Georgia. So we're now a state office, truly a state office, and it's all online. Now, there's great advantage to that. I'm subject to whatever the state gives me and how it works and how it helps you. On July 1st, DDS said we're going to have birth certificates to get your driver's license. And everybody was lining up over at DDS, and on the same day, the state vital record software system went down, and we couldn't pull up birth certificates from 3 solid days. Oh. And I had people lined up and were waiting to get their driver's license through DDS. Had already messed up, and it was chaos in the probate court. And because DDS is here in Rockdale County, I was getting a large amount of that overflow. But we worked real well. We were to pick up phone and call from county to county, fax. We did a lot of innovative ways to overcome the lack of technology for 3 solid days. And I hope State Vital Records has learned valuable lessons. They need a backup somewhere other than one place. But it happened, the storm hit Maryland, and everything went down. We couldn't get any vital records for a solid day. But I'm very proud of my staff. They have gone from no automation to total automation since I've been in office. I walked in and I was handed a cigar box to put my money in. And I had an IBM selector typewriter and half the keys didn't work. Everything in my office now is automated. Everything. Everything we do is now automated. We have a great case management system. You heard me speak to that a few minutes ago. The county really supported the court when we went with this. It was a newly developed system in which we have worked very diligently to get everything developed and working well and to have a solid foundation. I am hopefully going to be starting with the online payments with our software next month. And I'm going to do a test pilot for e-filing that would include e-filing for the public, not just the county. And that's not been done anywhere in the state of Georgia, and it's a pilot, and we're going to monitor and try using it to see how well it works. There are some legislative issues that would have to be addressed if we're successful with it. So it's not going to be one mandate, 2, it's not going to be automatic. It's going to be something that we work through. I've been down and met with the committee with the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals. They're overseeing the statewide e-filing procedures and how they want them. What are the technology requirements going to be? What are the foundations going to be? So, as Ms. Wilson did allude to, that train is rolling. We're working on it. We're already there. And we are in a very good position in that the technology and the software that we use is very effective and very sophisticated. And we're very proud of it. We've had lots of other counties come and look at what we're doing. I was the first court in the state of Georgia to ever do e-imaging. And I have personally in my office been imaging since 1993. I now have records imaged back as far as 1985. And probably will go no further back than that just because of the manpower. And that is met with microfilming. So record retention in my office is in really good shape. And you have to understand, probate courts can never get rid of the wills that would help. I have to have them forever. Although I've got an image, I'm still going to have to find some place to store it. Space is a huge problem at the courthouse. We're going to have to start moving forward, make some kind of plans of what we're going to do in the future, because we're all sitting on top of each other down there. We have very little space to move. We have shuffled things around to try to keep security as well in place as we can. But that is something the people of Rockdale County need to understand, is that's going to be, it is a problem now, and it's only going to get worse just because of the sheer numbers of people who come through the courthouse. And anything that we can do to alleviate somebody having to come, we're all working to try to get that done. But that's still just not going to stop all the traffic that's coming in the courthouse. You can't park. You've been down there on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you know as well as I do, you can't park anywhere. It's just chaos, and it's, sometimes even to get employed in, we're having to wait in line to get in because of the line we have to wait to get through security. But given all that, I still love what I'm doing. I still enjoy working today as I did when I started 20 years ago. I would like to continue to do what I'm doing, and the only way I can do that is if y'all see fit to hire me back in November. So that's my plea to you today, is that hopefully you'll remember that when you go to the polls, and that you know that I love what I'm doing, and that I will continue to do a good job for this county and for every one of you sitting in this courtroom, not this courtroom.
We want to thank her for coming. We want to thank her for showing up. I had called Mayor, he said he was going to show up, and he didn't show up. Because one thing in Rockdale County, when we have time, we never spoken. I guess the people beat him up so bad. Last night, he was never saying. He said he couldn't come up under his real heat today, so, but, one thing about it, if you get in this office, you gotta know, you cannot have no rubber stamps. If you gonna say something like that, if these people ask you on it, call you on it, you better be able to answer. If you can't answer, and then they fault. So now we've been asked to attend Magistrate Court to have some words. No, I was having a hot
Well, I just want to thank everyone for coming here. I know how Saturdays are. Those of you that have children, grandchildren, or just busy lives during the week. I know Saturdays when we usually run our errands. So I thank you so much for coming. A lot of your faces are very familiar, you politicals, but I do see some new faces, so I'll try not to be redundant for those of you that probably heard me speak every time that I've had an opportunity to speak this election cycle. But my name is Finya Ten. I am an attorney. I've been practicing law for 15 years, 14 of which have been in Georgia. I've loved living in Georgia. I've been here for 15 years, and I'm sorry, when did I move here? I moved here in 1997. Right after I graduated from law school. I went to Tulane University for law school, went to Wayne State University for undergrad. And Diane, let me just tell you something about Facebook real quick. Getting on the campaign trail, I've been using that social media network a lot more than I used to. But there is, I think, a place where you can put where you actually live. But the main reason I got on Facebook, I guess a couple of years ago, initially, was to find kindergarten classmates. And a lot of them, and people I went to law school with, and people that live all over the country, people that live all over the world, because as some of you know, I do love international travel. So, a lot of them don't know Conyers. They know Atlanta, so there is a button there where you can put, and it's pretty much for the metro area. So if you look me up, mine probably says Atlanta too is my hometown, but that's the reason for it. I love Conyers. I'm very proud to live in Conyers. When I first moved out here, it was because of the quality of the school system. And I'll say for anybody here that is on the school board, I don't see anybody right now, but I hope they keep a great school system in place, because that's why I moved here. I'm sure some of the other newer residents moved here too. When I moved here, my son was entering, I believe, 7th grade. He is now a 3rd year in college. Judge Brown also did temporary guardianships for 2 of my siblings. My brother, who's a recent graduate of Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, as well as my sister. So that's my family. When I talk about my literature, my family attending Rockdale schools, I'm talking about the children that I raised here. So I'm very proud of Conyers, but for Facebook purposes, that's why I said Atlanta. I tell everybody I'm in Conyers. Get the right way out there, outside the perimeter. Yeah, just come out here sometimes. And I'm always advocating that somebody come out here and buy some of these 3,000 to 4,000 vacant homes that we have. canvassing the communities is what I really love doing as part of the campaign trail, is knocking on doors and actually talking to individual residents. And we have such diversity in Rockdale, not just in terms of the people, the races, the political persuasions, but just in terms of the landscape. I'm enjoying getting to see the older homes, the newer homes. And for me, it's important that we leave this campaign season with some type of sense of community after it's all over. We're going to have some incumbents, I'm sure, that are going to make it through this cycle. We're going to have some new people, hopefully. And I hope that y'all all embrace the new elected officials, and I hope that includes me. And the reason why I'm running this, like I said, I've been a trial attorney for the last 14 years here in Georgia, and my practice has allowed me, thank God, to see much of Georgia. I've handled cases from the southern tip to the northern tip to the west to the east. And my practice is trial level courts, from magistrate to superior courts, but also appellate courts. So I've had opportunity to see cases from start to finish through the appeal process. And I was concerned because there are other counties that don't have the resources that we have, don't have the $500,000 budget that our magistrate court has. And there just seem to be much more customer friendly, offering a lot more educational opportunities for citizens to learn more about the legal process, which lends for a more efficient court system, which allows us to save taxpayer dollars. So those are some of the things that I want to bring to our court system, is more efficiency and also more user friendliness, because as we know, magistrate court is the people's court. It's specifically designed for people who had important but low dollar disputes on the civil side, and certainly important constitutional criminal procedures happen in magistrate court too. And I want to improve those. I want to improve the efficiency. I want to improve the quality of those experiences. So many people, they may be able to tell me if they've had experience with the court that they won their case, but they can't tell me the rationale behind what happened. Or if they lost their case, they don't know the rationale. And it's very important, I think, that you walk away from the process with a better understanding of our legal system, because, you know, there's a saying that freedom isn't free, but neither is justice, okay? So it's important that people know, and that can aid towards prevention. You know, if you win a contract dispute, you know how to better write a contract the next time. You know, contract next time, so you can avoid being in the court system. It's very important that we have those opportunities. And so some of the innovations, really all of the innovations that I'm talking about bringing to the courthouse are not going to impact tax dollars. These are things like, I can appreciate when Judge Brown talked about taking homework home from the court. That's how I am. I take homework home. This campaign trail really required that I lean on my supporters, my family, my friends, the community in a way that I'm really not comfortable with. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a high initiating self-starter. And that's why I've had my own business here for the last 14 years, because I would do something before I ask somebody to do it for me. So those are some of the things you're going to see in terms of how I would be administrator of the court, being much more hands-on with the process. And what I can tell you, fairness is very important to me. And for me, fairness is not just about hearing every side, but it's also about the result we render. Some of you may know I'm president of a bar association. I am a member of many bar associations. I enjoy the opportunity to network and have a scholarly exchange with my colleagues. I think it's what makes us all better in what we do, when we can talk about our cases and our experiences and knowledge. You know, there's a lot of new law that comes out every day. We get these weekly reports from the daily reports and legal publications tell us about the new case law that's coming out. So I've always been a member of a number of bar associations, including Rockdale Bar. But there were some attorneys who wanted to start another bar association that, last year, and they asked me, Sherry Washington, who's a member too, and they asked me to be the president. And I told them it's very important to me that we focus on community service as part of our bar initiative. And so I've been proud to be a moderator of now 3 Know Your Rights seminars. These are free educational opportunities for the public. I like to see more of you come to some of the events when you see them in the future, because they're for you. It's totally for the community to learn about basic legal terms and procedures that apply to a number of bread and butter legal issues, from probate to bankruptcy to criminal matters. And we always have everybody come, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and I would love to see some of our judges come in as well and talk to the public. And so that's another initiative I want to have, is bring the community into the court and take the court out to the community. I can't say that that is a phrase that I coined. I believe I heard, is the court still here? Madam Ruth?
Yes, sir.
That's a term I think I heard her say, but I think that it pretty much summarizes what I want to do with the court system too. Like I said, and I've already been doing that work as an attorney and as a bar leader.
Mr. Washington, one question.
Yes, at the first judicial forum sponsored by this organization, Judge Horn was present, and there he urged, if not challenged, all
I want to know your rights.
No, the first think tank.
Okay.
He urged, if not challenged, all of the people involved in judicial races to urge the legislature to make those races nonpartisan. As you know, the Superior Court is one that's nonpartisan. The other ones are partisan, meaning you either run as a Democrat, Republican, or other party. My question is this: I'd like to ask you and all the other candidates, what is your position on the wisdom of your office being either partisan or nonpartisan? I understand that you have no say in that. That's the job of the legislature. But I'm just curious as to what your position is as to whether or not it should be partisan or nonpartisan. Each of those the candidates that asked to answer that.
Well, I would not say that I have no say, or the leadership, the legal leadership has no say in it, because the changes that have been requested over the last few years have come from Judge Holmes. So it's not that we don't have a say in it. You wonder why, when he's had this leadership role, and certainly known that his position was partisan for the 20 plus years he's held it, while the impetus now to change it. But this is my thing about any changes to election issues. It needs to come from the voters. Okay, I'm not for taking anything away from the voters, which I am myself a voter too. So I am always about inclusion. I'm always about having y'all have more information. As you know, some of y'all know I've talked quite a big deal in some of these forums that I've been invited to speak at, and it comes from a passion to want to educate. I'm a third generation educator. My mother, my aunts, my grandmother have all worked in the educational system as school teachers, counselors, and principals. And I was a legal educator at Herzing University, where I taught numerous classes. So forgive me if I've been a little long-winded at some of these forums, but it's been for you, not really me wanting to hear myself speak. So I hope you found something educational from some of the things that I've said over these forums. But I think it's important that we understand that removing this in the manner that I believe Judge Horn wanted to do at the last local legislative package time was not really proper, because it didn't give us a voice. We should have, we can have town hall meetings on signs, on business signs. Certainly we should have the county, the community engaged in whether you want to know what the political affiliations of your probate and your magistrate court judges are. And let's just say that we're not, we have 159 counties. A lot of them have partisan races in these positions. So it's not a novelty that we have in Rockdale that needs to be corrected. But all I'm saying is, let's give it the deliberate, intelligent discourse that we need to have before we strip it away. Okay, that's even if I win. Okay, I'm not saying, oh, I won, and so let's keep it the way it is. I'm saying if there's going to be any change, we have to talk about it as a community. And I would tell you, a lot of people want to know what the political persuasion of their judges are. I was just canvassing this morning, and that was a very common question. or taking anything away from you guys without your input. For me, it amounts to, it's not a good thing to do. And that's what I'll say. Now, while we're on that topic,
That's right.
the highest law of our land, we all know what our Supreme Court judges, sometimes they make a move, like Justice Roberts with health care. But normally, we know what our U.S. Supreme Court justices' political persuasions are. And we still depend on them to make fair decisions, and we expect them to uphold the law. It's no different whether your judge has a D or R or I behind their name. The duty, the charge is still the same, and if you elect me to be your next Chief Magistrate Court judge, I promise you, Diane, I know you're a Republican. Dr. Holmes, I know you're a Democrat.
That's right.
But I promise you that I'm not going to treat either one of you differently because of your political persuasion or anything else that makes you different from each other or makes you different from me. Because we're a community, and you are electing me to be the conscience of this community, and that's the conscience of everybody. So I appreciate that, and I respect you guys for coming out and being such a wonderful, energetic audience.
I told you I was gonna raise it. Hold on, you just hold on. Oh, yeah. Just hold on, I told you I was gonna raise this donation. I want everybody in this room at least get $5. It costs to have this room every month. Let's go. Come on. Let's get it out right now. 5 minutes. You have $1. Hey, you gonna give me 4 next time you come back? All right, let's go. How $1? Everybody did 5 to make up for 1. All right. You pay Diane first. Okay. You got 20 last time. Okay. You can hold it. Okay, come on. You need 150 change back.